From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the Hourly News Blast. LGBTQ Nation is reporting gay Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent testified at a Senate hearing on Thursday, exuding smugness and using evasive, dishonest responses to defend the Trump administration's corrupt policies. The contentious hearing in front of the Senate's Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee was ostensibly to discuss Bessent's oversight of the Financial Stability Oversight Council's annual report, which assesses U.S. financial stability, emerging threats, and regulatory developments. However, many of the questions focused on how Trump's policies have harmed everyday American taxpayers. During an early exchange, Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat from Massachusetts, noted that the cost of groceries has risen over the last year and added it's not just groceries. The number from Trump's own economic agency show that Americans are paying more for utility bills, more for health care, more for housing construction. And when asked why Trump refers to complaints about affordability as, quote, a hoax, Bessent claimed it's because rising prices are actually caused by the previous presidential administration. Sorry, Scotty, you've had a year to fix things and you haven't. In another exchange, Senator Jack Reed, the Democrat from Rhode Island, who has served in the U.S. Congress since 1991, told Bessent, being the senior person here, your behavior to some of my colleagues is absolutely childish. Bessent sarcastically replied, thank you, Senator. Good to see you. Senator Chris Van Hollen noted that Bessent had implied that Minnesota Veterans Affairs ICU nurse Alex Preddy was culpable for his own killing at the hands of federal immigration officers because he had a gun that he was licensed to carry. Would you like to retract that statement, Van Hollen asked Bessent. Bessent replied by asking Van Hollen if he wanted to express remorse over the killing of Ashley Babbitt, a MAGA rioter who was shot dead by a U.S. Capitol police officer while she tried to forcibly enter a congressional chamber while rioting with other violent MAGA supporters during the January 6, 2021 Capitol riots. There's no comparison. When Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, the Democrat from Nevada, asked Bessent about the massive losses the U.S. tourism industry is experiencing because Trump's immigration and visa policies have discouraged international travelers from visiting, Bessent asked Masto whether more Americans were visiting Las Vegas. Masto said she wasn't talking about domestic travel by Americans, adding, international tourism in the U.S. is a $1 trillion industry, and you don't seem to think it's important. At another point, when Senator Tina Smith, a Democrat from New Mexico, asked Bessent about financial distress being experienced by domestic farmers, Bessent ran his mouth and repeated his off-mock claim that until very recently he himself was a farmer, the hell he was, and therefore understands agricultural economic issues. No, you don't, sir. Senator Ralph Warnock, the Democrat from Georgia, noted that 72,000 manufacturing jobs have been lost during the start of Trump's presidency, largely the result of Trump's tariffs. Bessent replied by proclaiming that the U.S. is experiencing the beginnings of a manufacturing boom. Not according to the Wall Street Journal, we're not. Senator Andy Kim, the Democrat from New Jersey, asked Bessent why Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is involved in the federal government's international talks with Russia, despite having no official government position, which would require Kushner to undergo the same financial disclosures as every other government official to ensure no conflicts of interest. Bessent didn't seem to consider that Kushner might have such conflicts. Senator Kim also noted that Trump pardoned cryptocurrency businessman Changpeng Zhao after Zhao gave billions to Trump's business. When asked whether that was a conflict of interest, Bessent claimed he was unfamiliar with the details. When Senator Ruben Gallego, the Democrat from Arizona, noted that Trump was suing the IRS for $10 billion for allegedly leaking tax records, Bessent said that the money would come out of the U.S. Treasury. Gallego corrected him, noting that the money would actually come out of funds provided by U.S. taxpayers. When Bessent implied that Trump was suing the IRS on behalf of 440,000 other Americans whose tax returns were also leaked, Gallego noted that those Americans aren't suing the IRS, only Trump is. Bessent's Senate hearing occurred one day after his contentious hearing in the House, during which Representative Gregory Meeks, the Democrat of New York, shouted at Bessent, "Stop covering for the president. Don't be a flunky. Work for the American people. Work for the American people. Don't be a cover-up for a mob." Well, that's a news blast for this hour. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, the PEP Radio page at paequality.com, Roku, and Alexa. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.